Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. We have a few items to get into, but specifically, we will get into the actual some labor challenges that are ahead. See you right back here. All right. Good morning once again. Hope you guys are doing well out there. I really appreciate you guys for taking the time on the sun plus the day. So let's check our status first, and we'll get started. Hope you guys are doing well. All right, good morning, and thank you so much for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So let's get started. So first, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in to the stream from yesterday, where we talked about, of course, recalls, and then we also talked about. I had some comments regarding AI, which I found an interesting article that I think may validate or even support some of my ideas. So let's have a look really quickly. Let's go ahead and start with our actual layoffs report, and we'll go into what you might be up against if you are a songwriter in these times. Okay, so I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this segment. And just before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends on Rumble. Thank you guys so much again for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So I've been talking about the economy for a while. I even featured a stream that was entitled Lego My Repo. And that was based on the trending amounts that's following the repo reports of 2022 rather, excuse me, 2022. So let's start with this report that comes from the Business Insider. All right, and we'll start with this. Is Farmers Insurance cuts 2,400 jobs amid a layoff wave expanding beyond tech. Here's the full list of major U.S. companies slashing staff this year. So you guys remember, if you're new to the channel, we talked about this in the past, in which there were illusions that for a long time that it was only the tech startup companies in Silicon Valley. That type of narrative was out there so long, as well as the narrative that there was actually no recession. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll follow this up. I do believe they are maintaining there's no recession, the economy's fine, but there are reports that say very differently. Look at your gas pump, look at your grocery bill, look at all of it. Okay, so this is going to include Farmers Insurance cuts as well as other companies. And believe me, and once again, this report it's beyond the tech industry. Okay. So I just want you to know that. So right away, you can see here, just to begin with, you have an image with T-Mobile on the front, and then you also have a caption that says mobile carrier T-Mobile is cutting 7% of its staff, part of a wave of layoffs hitting the U.S. so far this year. Okay, so we can continue here. So this is laid out for you in the format in which it says Farmers Insurance said Monday. Now, this was published on the 29th of August. So the 29th of August was just last Tuesday. Okay, last Tuesday. So we're not that far behind. But last Tuesday, Business Insider published this with these points, the following points. The Farmers Insurance and said on Monday that it was cutting 2,400 roles or 11% of its workforce. And then it goes on, it'll continue with in recent months that layoffs have expanded beyond tech, media, and finance, with Gap and Whole Foods also announcing cuts. It's very apropos of what we were talking about yesterday. We talked about Trader Joe's and recalls. And interesting that we have a Whole Foods also announcing cuts. So we're going to be cross-referencing a lot of things that I discussed yesterday regarding recalls, as well as the commentary, the theory, my opinion, which I try to, I think this will support the opinion that I had about AI, your rights, and the rights of songwriters. So you'll be interested in that if you are, whether you're in that genre, or you'll be able to see where the power of AI and what the transfer of power, the transfer of rights to AI when it comes to songwriters or producers, which is very interesting. And then next, we'll have the full list of layoffs so far in 2023. Okay, so here we are. A wave of layoffs that hit dozens of U.S. companies toward the end of 2022 shows no sign of slowing down well into 2023. Okay, so Farmers Insurance announced Monday that it was cutting 2,400 roles, or about 11% of its workforce, across all lines of its business. Quote, given the existing conditions of the insurance industry and the impact they have on our business, we need to take decisive actions today to better position farmers for future success, end quote, Raul Vargas, the CEO and president of the company, said in a press release. The news of these layoffs arrives on the heels of recent job cuts at companies including T-Mobile, Binance, Niantic, Robinhood, and Grubhub. Okay, these companies join a large number of major corporations that have made significant reductions to staff this year. Tech companies, including Meta and Google, and finance behemoths like Goldman Sachs, announced massive layoffs in the first weeks of 2023 amid a continued economic downturn and stagnating sales. The downsizing followed significant reductions that companies, including Meta and Twitter, made last year. The layoffs have primarily affected the tech sector, according to data from layoffs.fyi, a site tracking layoffs since the start of the pandemic. Tech companies slashed more than 223,000 in 2020 alone, compared during the pandemic, when they cut 80,000 in March to December 2020 and 15,000 in 2021. All right, so they're talking about here are the notable job cuts so far in 2023. Farmers Insurance, 2,400 roles. Farmers Insurance, let's see. It seems like we're getting a little redundant here. Okay, so this is the piece from Farmers, what they released, okay? The company said that the cuts will affect all lines of business and are a part of actions to improve its long-term profitability and efficiency. Raul Vargas, as president and CEO of the company, said in the release, quote, as our industry continues to face macroeconomic changes, we must carefully manage risk and prudently align our costs with our strategic plans for sustainable profitability. He added, quote, our leaner structure will make us more nimble and better able to pursue opportunities for growth and ultimately make farmers more responsive to the needs of our insured customers and agents. Right, so here you go. Next up, you have T-Mobile at 5,000 U.S. jobs. T-Mobile at 5,000 U.S. jobs. Now you have an image with laid off employees will receive, quote, competitive severance packages, according to Seavert. The mobile carrier is laying off just under 7% of its total employees in a wave of cuts that are expected to be made by December. In his letter, Seavert cited T-Mobile's efforts to compete with rivals and attracting new customers. Its most recent quarterly earnings report revealed the sales were down 2.5% year over year, and net customer additions fell. Quote, what it takes to attract and retain customers is materially more expensive than it was just a few quarters ago, end quote, Seavert said in the letter. Quote, this is a company and team that looks around corners, that anticipates change, and stays ahead of it. Seifert added that affected employees can expect to receive, quote, competitive severance packages, and, quote, career transition services and more. You see what you're going to be offered? CVS, 5,000 jobs. Okay, it looks like this is your CVS imagery of the CEO of CVS. Karen Lynch said in a memo to staff that the company would be cutting roles to be, quote, at the forefront of a transformation in healthcare. The pharmacy giant is axing 5,000 jobs in a cost-cutting push. The cuts will impact employees in corporate roles, while those in customer-facing roles in CVS pharmacy stores, clinics, and customer service centers are not likely to be impacted, the company said in the statement to the Insider. An internal memo that was sent to staff and viewed by the Wall Street Journal, the company's chief executive, Karen Lynch, said the cuts would help CVS, quote, be at the forefront of a once in a generation transformation in healthcare. In addition to the layoffs, CVS is also reducing travel budgets and its use of external consultants in an effort to cut costs. Binance, more than 1,000 jobs. Binance, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, by volume cut over 1,000 people from its workforce in July, the Wall Street Journal reports. The cuts come after the SEC filed a lawsuit against the company in June, alleging that it operated as an unlicensed crypto exchange. The cuts, which are ongoing, could whittle down Binance's staff by at least a third. A person familiar with the cuts told the Journal. Even before the SEC suit, the exchange was considering staff cuts to prepare for the next bull cycle and evaluate its, quote, talent density, end quote, a Binance spokesperson told Insider. Quote, as we prepare for the next major bull cycle, it has become clear that we need to focus on talent density across the organization to ensure we remain nimble and dynamic, end quote, the spokesperson said. Interesting, the word nimble is resounding in a common thread here. Nimble. Jack, be nimble. Jack, be quick. All right, let's keep going. The statement came after a series of tweets from independent journalist Colin Wu on May 31st that indicated forthcoming layoffs at the company. Quote, this is not a case of right sizing, but rather re-evaluating whether we have the right talent and expertise in critical roles. The Binance statement continued. Quote, this will include looking at certain products and business units to ensure our resources are allocated properly to reflect the evolving demands of users and regulators, end quote. All right, so Niantic, about 230 jobs. I'm not familiar with this. If you guys have kids out there that are into, listen, I'm probably not the best. I'm not a promoter of AI right now, not through games, not through education. You will not see me promoting this as a vessel of communication, education. You just won't see it, because once you turn your kids over to these things, it is, I'll leave that alone. We'll go to another. I'll stay on topic here. Okay. Keep going here. Niantic CEO John Hank announced that the AR gaming company would be laying off about 230 employees in June. Hank informed employees that the company would sunset its basketball game, quote, NBA All World, end quote, and stop development of an unreleased superhero game, Marvel World of Heroes. Oh, very apropos. I couldn't resist that one, guys. World of Heroes. I'd love to see what the prototype for that was. Okay. The company will also close a Los Angeles studio, he said. Quote, in the wake of the revenue surge that we saw during the CV-19, we grew our headcount and related expenses in order to pursue growth more aggressively, end quote, Hank wrote. Post CV-19, our revenue returned to pre-CV-19 levels, and new projects and games and platform have not delivered revenues commensurate with those investments. He added that Niantic is still confident about the potential of augmented and mixed reality space, and pointed to Meta and Apple's commitments to their respective headsets as a reason the industry should be optimistic. You see, they're going to keep at this thing, okay? Reality. That's what's wrong. The reality is, everybody's reality, not everyone, but a majority of the mass reality is warped, including our kids. Okay. Robinhood, about 7% of the workforce. Let's see, look at Robinhood. Robinhood here will cut around 150 jobs. Look at the the graphic here, as well as the caption. This is very much informational here. Robinhood, a stock trading app, is laying off around 150 of its full-time employees. The Wall Street Journal first reported the job cuts will amount to about 7% of Robinhood's workforce, adding to more than 1,000 jobs the company has cut since last year. Robinhood's chief financial officer, Jason Warnick, wrote that the layoffs were done to, quote, adjust the volumes and to better align team structures, according to an internal company message obtained by the Journal. Quote, we're ensuring operational excellence in how we work together on an ongoing basis. In some cases, this may mean teams make changes based on volume, workload, or design, and more, end quote. A Robinhood spokesperson told Insider in an email statement. The spokesperson did not respond to Insider's questions asking about how many employees would face layoffs and what positions would be impacted. This marks the third workforce reduction that the company has undergone since last year. In 2022, Robinhood went through 2 rounds of layoffs in April and August, which axed more than 1,000 positions of its then 3,800 employees. The company cited these earlier layoffs as necessary to cut costs and eliminate duplicate roles that resulted from the company undergoing rapid hiring. The layoffs at Robinhood followed a ballooning period of stock trading and hiring at the company during the COVID-19 pandemic, Insider previously reported. But trading has only declined since then as stimulus checks have dried up and inflation rates climbed, granting people fewer disposable income for trading. Imagine that. And here we come with Ford. You see, this is very apropos, right? For those of you that caught my repo, I had no idea that Ford was on the list, okay? Let's see. I had no idea that Ford was on the list. That may be why they're going to the autonomous, that may be why they're going to go to the autonomous repos or the semi-autonomous repos. Makes sense. They're losing money somewhere. Got to make it up, right? Got to try to recover. All right. So Ford said it would undergo layoffs that would mainly impact engineering positions based in the U.S. and Canada. A spokesperson for Ford declined to say how many employees would be laid off this week. When Insider asked for comment, the layoffs would mostly impact engineering roles in the U.S. and Canada, the spokesperson said in a statement. The recent round of layoffs at Ford are part of the company's Ford Plus growth plan that was introduced in 2021, the spokesperson told Insider. Part of this plan focuses on expanding the company's electric vehicle sales, the CNBC reported. Quote, delivering on the plan includes adjusting staffing to match focused priorities and ambitions while raising quality and lowering costs, the spokesperson said in a statement to Insider when asked about the reasoning for the layoffs. The layoffs will impact employees in each of Ford's business divisions, including its Ford Blue unit, its Model E electric vehicle division, and its Ford Pro services, CNBC reported. This layoff follows reductions the company made last year in August. Ford laid off around 3,000 employees, a part of the company's plan to restructure the company's attention on electric vehicles. But the layoffs in the car industry are also distinct from those spreading across other industries, the Insider previously reported. As more automakers shift to electric vehicles, more layoffs are anticipated across the industry. But while these changes signal some jobs will no longer exist in the industry, new positions will also be created as more automakers move in this direction. Sonos, about 7% of the workforce. This is an incredible list. Spotify, let's see. JP Morgan. Let's see. Spotify, JP Morgan. LinkedIn, 716 roles. This is quite extensive, my friends. I mean, these are Shopify workforce. Some of these I think are from earlier this year. So I think we're kind of up to date. So anything that I think below what I've read that I've reported in here, these were the earlier. I'm going to put this link in the stream for you because these, I think I may have even reported on this earlier when it was fresh. because we do take a look at, we do look at some of the sites. We do keep up with the economy wherever available. We try to give you as much as we can. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is not the right one. Okay, so we're a little bit backlog there. Okay. All right, so there you have a few. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we have your Business Insider with your layoffs there. So you've kind of gotten up to date. So you have the newest ones. Let me see if I can recall this right now. I think I'm on the wrong track here. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so you have I think the first few were the most recent ones. So Ford obviously I think Ford already had a plan in place because the electric car, where they cutting their consultant agents. It looks like it's more, they're flushing out their employees, and they're getting a severance package. A competitive severance package is what they're offering you. So that's what you're getting there. So now let's go over to another report. In regarding the AI. I was talking to you guys yesterday about how I thought that the world is being transformed and moved, and you're being emotionally hacked, or you're being emotionally hacked by AI. Well, you're also going to be hacked in your creations, in your creativity, in the mode of creativity, because I think, let's see, the World Economic Forum, so interesting that they are delivering this piece of information. Let's see, I just went to the actual property. Hold on one second. Make sure I get the right one of these. Okay. All right. So it's entitled "Who Owns the Song You Wrote with AI?" And it's so apropos, so apropos to what I was talking about yesterday. So for those of you creative souls, not dare I say, I don't like to use that word very often. For those of you that are creative, that are artistic, if you are a songwriter, you might want to take a look at this. Okay, you might want to take a look at that. Who owns the song that you wrote? What they call it? They used to refer to it as the master copies. If you own the rights to your music, this is a new thing. Okay. So according to this, artificial intelligence potentially empowers us to become all to become creators. But who owns the outcome? Let me repeat that again. Artificial intelligence potentially empowers us all to become creators. But who owns the outcome? The World Economic Forum has warned that copyright laws need to change to keep up with the potential of AI. You see what I'm saying, my friends? You're being infiltrated in your creative veins. The property of mankind of human beings, to me, is at risk, extremely at risk. Okay. Here, a professor of technology discusses how AI is disrupting our ideas and laws and around intellectual property. So let's start with this. Okay. According to this is artificial intelligence offers even the least musical among us the chance to get in touch with our inner songwriter. But what happens if you create a hit? Who owns the copyright? And what about the artist whose style is being plundered to create the AI hit? Is it a question troubling lawyers and digital media experts? Which is why we sat down with New York University's Professor Oren Sundararajan at the World Economic Forum's 2023 annual meeting of the New Champions. Wow, look at this language. New champions. Very, very interesting. Okay. In Tianjin, China, to seek answers to the question. Okay. That's far from theoretical. Quote, generative AI systems don't just generate new content in abstraction. They can be tailored to generate content in the style of a specific person, end quote, Professor Sundararajan explained. Quote, you can create a new beat, you can create new Beatles songs. You can write a poem like Maya Angelou. Which is exactly what happened recently when a series of cover versions of popular songs started to appear on TikTok. It quickly emerged that the artists performing the tracks had never recorded them. They had been entirely produced using artificial intelligence. Oh, my friends, how apropos is that to what I was talking about yesterday? What's the point of having intellectual property law if it can't protect the most important intellectual property? Your creative process, Sundararajan asked. The Forum's 2023 Presidio recommendations on responsible generative AI warned it was, quote, essential for policymakers and legislators to re-examine and update copyright laws to enable appropriate attribution and ethical and legal reuse of existing content. I'm not sure, I'll play this later. It says, here's a summary of our discussion with Oren Sundararajan, Harold Price professor at New York University Stern School of Business. Who owns what we create with AI? Sundararajan, this is one of the central policy and consumer protection issues when thinking about the governance of generative AI. Generative AI systems don't just generate new content in abstraction. They can be tailored to generate content in the style of a specific person. Okay? You can write new Beatles songs. You can write a poem like Maya Angelou. And at this point, the ownership of a person over their creative process, over their intelligence, starts to get challenged by technology. One way to think about this, what's the point of having intellectual property law if it can't protect the most important intellectual property, your individual intelligence, your creative process? In the past, we've never really asked this question because it was assumed by default that, of course, you own how you create things. And so at this point in time, we have to extend intellectual property law to protect not just individual creations, but an individual's process of creation itself. Is it fair to say our identities are at stake? Sundararajan, I think one's creative process is part of one's identity as a human, but it's also an important part of one's human capital. You can spend decades becoming really good at doing things in a specific way, and you have an incentive to do that because you own it and because you can enjoy the spoils, the returns from all of that investment. The trouble is that now a generative AI system can take hundreds of examples of what an individual has created and start to replicate their process, in some way stripping away their human identity, or taking part of their human capital away from them. And this is something that we are seeing a lot in the creative industries, in the art industry, and in the music industry. Cartoonist styles are being replicated by art generating AI. Musician styles are being replicated by music generating AI. Oh wow, this is very, very, very much intense. I was talking to you guys about this yesterday. I was talking about, I didn't specifically, this is not my domain of competence. I didn't say generative. Hi, Gary Gage. Thank you so much for coming in. I didn't say specifically generative AI, which I imagine there's so many different types of AI. I was just saying that we are being infiltrated, or that our emotions are being infiltrated, and we're being regulated by machines. That AI, in fact, I submitted that I thought that AI could be very well producing music, that AI is creating, that if I said it was not too far-fetched, if we can have AI creating entire profiles of people that don't exist, but send them to a park in New York to win or pick up free PS2s, why is it beyond the realm of possibility that AI could very well be writing songs, that AI could very well be, that the artists that we've known of, that they're not human beings at all. They're actually It's AI that created, not only that produced it, but they produced the sounds, the process, or did they plunder the works of the artist? I told you guys, when they've referred to it as auto tune, I've always, it's a freaking robot. So just, the shades of language that you guys want to use, it still doesn't stop it from being plunder. It's plunder, it's imitation, it's a ripoff. Okay. If you have The Dream, if his rap tune had AI in it, auto tuning, I thought that was annoying. I've heard Miley Cyrus tunes with AI in it. Lady Gaga, Cher, whatever that song was, it Life After Love or Love After Life or something, whatever that song was we talked about yesterday. Is it possible that Cher herself has already been in a battle, because this machine, this generative AI, is ripping people off, and now you have to fight for your rights, your ownership. Do you own the masters? Whatever you own, you're going to be potentially robbed of it because of AI. I'm just saying, I was saying, my point yesterday is that children are being, that's why I was saying, I was talking about that Niantic and all these reality and these games and all these things that people are, I don't promote education through AI. I don't promote these institutions through AI, because they're going to be what it makes sense. Who else are they imitating? They're having to be programmed and loaded before they can take off. They had to be programmed. So imitation is to me the very next thing. They're going to generate things or replicate things. Okay. So I talked about all kinds of tunes. I don't want to hear a song by AI. I don't want to hear AKA auto tune. I don't care to listen to that, because it's created. It's not, I have a background in music, and I'm a bit more of a purist. Things that are not pure to me, I don't hear them. My ear doesn't really forgive that. So I don't really accept that very well. I don't want to hear some robot manipulating the song, the voice of Cher, or the voice of Miley Cyrus, or the voice of Madonna, or the voice of Usher. I don't even listen to these people anymore. The minute that broke into the music industry, I shut down, because I didn't accept that. But you can see right now, people have accepted it. They've accepted pervert rap. What is that rapper, Lil Baby, in the Axe commercial? Most of the rap that was done over the music was freaking AI. That Axe commercial was quite new. As a matter of fact, I can play that for you and come back to it. But that's not a human's voice. So it's like you're being pimped out and robbed at the same time. It's worse than having a producer. It's worse than having a human producer, is what I propose, than it is to have AI is worse than a human producer. Because now you're going to be in the battle. There's no laws. Your intellectual property laws, to me, are not going to protect you from, the Axe GOAT commercial. We kind of broke that down among some spiritual whatevers, but I'm going to play it for you right now. Give me a second. And there's a lot of dark stuff going on. And at that particular time, I was more focusing on the spiritual aspect of it, but I had no idea that I should have been thinking. It hadn't occurred to me that these people are, this industry, this already wicked industry, is pimping these people out, and they don't even own the rights to their voice that has been manipulated. Now people, oh, that's so cool with robots. They have no idea. It steals creativity. It steals it from the children. So once you put your kids on these devices as a pacifier, as a two-way street, you're going to get a pacifier, all right, and a babysitter. You're going to get your kids' creativity stolen. You're going to get your kids' attention span stolen. You're going to get their ability to manipulate anything in their mind stolen, because you can't get it back. You can see it already. It's an addictive thing. So let me just show you this. Just have a listen to this. And this is disturbing to me. I don't want to hear performance from soulless, crotchless AI. Because anything that doesn't have a soul, to me, is dark and demonic. I don't want to be a part of it. Okay? So this is the kind of stuff they put in horror movies but people are dancing and bopping to it these days, including kids, no matter what the source is. So let me just show it. I'm going to play it right now. I'll be quiet. Here we go. Just listen to this. Does this even sound, not only does it not sound human, but what does it sound like to you?
Yo, gotta try this new X. It's the fine fragrance. Go. Took too hard, don't stand too close. You won't go around the town off this way. Going on the road, I've been on the road. I don't care where I go, long as I get paid. Do this all the time, this ain't no surprise. Every other night another movie get made. Took too hard, don't stand too close. You won't go around the town off this way. The new X fine fragrance collection.
You see what you see what it is? You can hear it. You can hear it becomes it's you can hear the transition. And to me, I don't even believe that that's whoever the guy is. I'm not a rapper, whatever. I don't listen to hip hop like that. But you can hear that his voice has been transformed, or it's been manipulated, or they're imitating his voice. So right away, he's an idiot. He went in there and made the stupid commercial with Axe, and he's going to probably end up losing his shirt that he wore in it. Or they probably gave him that too. He didn't probably own that either. But he's going to lose his shirt because he doesn't know his intellectual property rights. I mean, as a musician myself, like it's almost like me talking to you guys right now. How do I know that AI won't go out and replicate Black Spring with Autumn? How do I know that? Generative AI. If you go online, you can even find a slogan generator. That's AI at work. They could rip off somebody else's slogan. Just type in slogan generator. Type in the type of business that you were, whether it's design or carpentry, whatever. This generative thing will create something, and will know. Anybody question it? I'm just saying this is World Economic Forum. Interesting enough that they're letting you know the scam. Okay. Gary Gage and Void, good morning to you both. Good morning. Void says, essentially nobody has any original ideas anymore. There you go. Because AI is going to replicate everything we do. Your Facebook, your profile pictures, your voice, your music. It's going to be imitated, replicated, plundered with this system. Okay. And I'm going to go back into it in just a second. Gary Gage says it's a consumer of music. I agree with you. It's just not right. And you can hear the differences. Yeah, you can. There's one thing about it, it's because of my background, and I'm trained to hear things in a very pure way, in a very granularly pure way. So when I hear it, we all know we have five senses, but our ear, most of the time, most human beings, when you hear something, even if it's a car alarm or if an alarm goes out off in a building, there's very specific reasons why you might be disturbed or irritated, but there's a very specific reason why you're being disturbed and irritated. This is because it's the anatomy of sound that's coming, that's reaching you, that's reaching your ear. Your ear will not accept certain things. And that's how it is for me. I'm hypersensitive because of my background. Okay. This would never be acceptable to me. Cher's tune. When I heard that with her, do you believe in la 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 la? I'm telling you, when I was done, like, I just want to hear Cher. Can we stop this? You want to call it auto-tune? It's a freaking robot. What is that silly little gummy bear song that I was telling you guys about? Even the teenagers, they are really massaging these kids they're really massaging them to accept things that are less human, things that are soulless. And to me, that was my whole point. That's what I was on about yesterday, is that. But then not only that, if AI can create profiles, why can't they hijack people's music? They can create identity theft. They can create whatever they want because the technology is out there for them to do so. Let's see, let me just put this on here, share this with you. Void says humans cannot own property. Intellectual property is mine. Think. Well, as long as human beings can create ideas, you're at risk. Okay. If you see something else out here, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, even the copyright I mean, I don't know how much the copyright protect you from replication or that kind of a bit. I don't know, but just be aware of putting things online. So that makes me think, yeah, you need to be aware of what you're putting out because it can be replicated. Okay, so here we go. Here we're back to this little piece here from the World Economic Forum, which the World Economic always gives up the fraud, but they'll gaslight you if you tell them if it to the average person. Are there implications for business? Here's this professor from NYU. What is Sundararajan? It's not just an issue for creative arts. Someone could be really skilled at business development in a company. That talent, that know-how, those years of experience that they are rendered into email exchanges with clients, a particular style of talking to a particular potential client, a particular sequence of messaging, a particular sequence of phone calls that leads you to closing the deal. And when this deal development executive leaves the company, of course, they leave their work product behind, but now this work product can be used to create a digital replica of them that they may not have intended to leave behind, but which they can't take with them the way we have always taken our human capital with us if we move jobs. Okay, and moving on. It says, what is the difference between mimicry and replicating something human? Great. Here's Professor Sundararajan. Once something is successful, people start to mimic that style, because if I'm a musician and I want to imitate someone's style, there will still be differences between my style and theirs that reflect my talent and my creative ability. With an AI twin, in some sense, you are creating an exact replica rather than simply mimicking the style. I think the second big difference is the scalability of this. Once this is encoded into an AI system, new creations can be generated at a breathtaking pace. Okay, so here's the next one. It says, who's most at risk from this? Sundararajan says, if you're an incredibly famous artist, there's very little danger. But if someone generates a replica of your music, you can simply say, quote, it's not mine. And then it won't be as popular. You've got the brand that allows you to get the economic returns from your creation. On the other hand, if you're an up-and-coming band that isn't very well known and you start to do somewhat well on Spotify and someone encodes into AI your style of music and starts to generate hundreds of different examples, then your ability to even build that brand can be curtailed before you have the chance to do it. And so you're unable to get the economic returns associated with either your talent or with your human capital. Okay, so you see how that's working right now. So where does the law stand at the moment? So this is important. Sundararajan, every AI system we use was created by training it on examples. A lot of discussions have focused on whether it's okay for AI companies to use other people's creations for this. The law is unclear at present. Some people argue that this falls under the fair use doctrine, which exists in the US, the EU, and China, although it may be called different things in different places, where if you're transforming what you're using into something sufficiently different in a way, that won't affect the commercial value of what you're using, then it's okay. You're not infringing on copyright. The law is also unclear today on the ownership associated with something generated by AI, a particular creation. So if an AI system writes a story or generates a piece of art or composes a song in some jurisdictions, if it's completely AI generated with no human participation at all, nobody owns it. It's in the public domain. If there's enough human assistance, such as providing a storyline which the AI completes for you, or you outline a song and the song is then AI generated, then you can continue to own the copyright. On the issue of who owns the creative process, there seems to be little or no law that is giving us a definitive answer on how we can reclaim ownership of our creative process. What's likely to happen is the US, the EU, or China, one of these three, is going to take a leadership role and define the first set of guidelines and laws around individual ownership of their creative processes and the use of data to train something like Chat GPT. Okay, so here, this is getting into CBDC right here. You know, not too long ago, there was a report about, you know, FedNow being activated this year, and that the United States has already been like a slow comer, a late comer compared to the Australias, the other countries that have signed on, that have already piloted their own currency, their CBDCs. This sounds like the same kind of a bit. Whoever gets to the China and whoever gets to it first is going to be the ones who set the standard for this AI generative, the laws on it, the ownership of the creative processes. So here again, this is to me NWO stuff. And who's going to be the leader? To me, that sounds like the same thing. The people that submit to the currency, to the CBDCs for their country, their respective countries, they're going to be the ones to establish the rules. So to me, whoever squeaks the loudest, whoever makes the rules first is going to be the winner. So I think China is already number one. The US is not quite there, allegedly, even though they did say that July 1st is when it was purported that July 1st is when FedNow will be rolled out, which they tried to encourage a lot of institutions to get on board early in April, and there was incentive for that. But I don't know what's going to happen, you know, just everything to me, if you put anything original, if you put any of your original works online, if somebody finds something you've done and they like it, you could be in a mess. Like, what's that particular site? And you guys, if you content creators, you know, this is for the content creators on this channel that come to visit this channel, or subscribe to this channel, that your content, you're always under the microscope. Okay. But it's being reviewed and combed over by AI, for one. Okay, but then, like, if you do that, one of these little firms that creates if you've used anybody to create something or sample something and create something for you, then they're always coming after you. YouTube does not stop that person from coming after you. And then you got to go down the rabbit hole. Void says, chasing a bag has become more important than human growth, prosperity, sharing ideas, and time. We are essentially becoming more and more selfish. Well, that's true. We are. So I'm saying, you know, if you go onto one of these sites, or if you have somebody to create something for you, and they're the ones that have actually sampled the work or a piece of what you're using, and then you go on here, oh, they try to copyright you here on YouTube. So, oh, that's copyright. Well, you know, it's being done for the human beings, but how do we know that how do we know that AI is not posing? That AI is not posing on a site that creates graphic designs. What is it? Firma? What is it? Fiverr. Some of these people, illustrations that are selling things. How do we know that the AI is not on Fiverr generating this stuff? How do we know that? But we think we've been communicating. We've purchased something. We think we've purchased enough rights to protect ourselves when we use this, you know. But then indeed, YouTube's trying to come after you, or whoever allegedly owns it is coming after you, because it was actually generated by AI. Like, you know, I told you guys, you get the slogan creator, the slogan generators. Who knows? It's a mess. It's a mess. So I tell you what, I'm going to take a quick little break here and come right back. But so check even you content creators, we are all at risk. And of course, the World Economic Forum always lets you know who the criminal is, what the crime is, but they don't tell you who's behind it. They never show you the man behind the curtain, right? So I will be right back. Hi, Marcy T. That's why I tell people, I talked to you guys yesterday that we have already been infiltrated emotionally. Our emotions are being regulated by AI, a soulless, crotchless something that's dark. So when you put your kids on these machines, playing these video games, putting on Oculus and all this stuff, you have no idea what is being stolen from them. A lot of it is not, it's abstract. Abstraction is the abstract ideas are being stolen. Their imagination, their creativity, their attention span, all of that is shrinking. It's almost like their brains they've carved out a new pattern that makes the kids less tolerant. That makes the kids, they can't receive it anymore. So just realize what you're doing before you become awed of somebody that's an imitator. I mean, we know the enemy himself. He's an imitator. He imitates. He robs. He robs. He destroys. But they got you to convince you that it's all about convenience when it comes to education. Oh, put your kids on this. Let this AI be your kid's teacher. Let this AI teach your kid this. Let this AI do this. I'm telling you. And to me, now that is a whole nother animal. When the minute they start replicating, what if they start replicating pedophiles? There you go, still kill and destroy. The enemy is he's going back and forth seeking whomever he may devour. And he's doing it online. He's doing it through AI. He's doing it through your school's technology programs. He's doing it through Google. He's doing it that way. There is a price for their convenience. You're being manipulated. You're being deceived. Adults don't want to be alone with their own thoughts anymore, my friends. I might be preaching to the choir, but I hope it provokes some thoughts in you. Like if you're handing your kid an iPad to pacify them at a table, I'm telling you, good luck getting them back. Good luck getting them back. They will not be inspired to read. The best readers, the people that can manipulate any literacy is the way, being able to manipulate any piece of writing, any reading. But if you don't want to be alone with your thoughts, I'll be damned, you cannot do that. You're being trained for your TikTok is training the minds of people. 15 seconds, 10, 15-second little videos. And that's about all they can handle. Put a book, let them engage with text, let them do the work, let their brains give their thinking a chance. I'm telling you, I think that's what's happening to a lot of, you have what you need. You have everything you need to be thoughtful, to be productive. But if you turn all of that over to these computers, these iPads, these Oculus, if you turn all of that over, there's nothing, we are less valuable without these skills. We are less valuable without our own creative process. We are less valuable to ourselves. We're less useful to ourselves. We are not in control. Because I do believe, I don't know, I'm sure they've done the studies. They're never going to tell us this. They're not going to tell the community. They're not going to tell the Americans. They're not going to tell people worldwide. They've probably done the studies. If you put as soon as you put that device in front of somebody, there's something that's happening there. I think, and it probably retrains the brain. Less thought, the visual communication. I'm all about communications. Luckily I've been able to do it in 3 different ways. But I started, it was autonomous. It was something that I did. It was something that I did on my own first. I got the discipline first, and then the freedom came later. But like I said, everybody wants to be all wowie about computers and robots. And now you got so you got emotional support animals that you can pet. How freaking weird and bizarre is that? So give me a few seconds here. Okay, guys, I'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Give me just 1 minute. We'll take a little break here. Shout out to the class of CV19 and CV 2020. All right, guys, thank you so much for your patience. So yeah, I'm going to be wrapping up here in just a little bit, but I thought this was it's so funny how I was able to find this, I stumbled onto this, I didn't find it. I stumbled onto this article. Okay, so let me wrap it up here where it talks about, okay, let's wrap it up here on the part where how do you see the future? So this is this New York professor, all right, Soundararajan. How do you see the future? He says, well, in the broadest sense, we need to retain ownership of our intelligence as humans. How do we update intellectual property law to protect not just individual creations, but to protect an individual's creative process? There are some promising early steps toward drawing the line between AI creation and human creation. In many jurisdictions, something that is generated by an AI system has to be marked as such. And if you are interacting with an AI that appears like a human, you have to be told that you are interacting with an AI. But good luck with the integrity on that. Ethics, right, comes into play. I think a logical next step would be to ask the question, if an AI is generating these artifacts, these objects, these pieces of art, who owns the creation of the AI? And then the step after that is to decide who owns the creative process, if that creative process mimics a particular individual. So I'll say this, to me, this might be one of the most thought-provoking, which I think is, this is the thing about our world, the world that we live in deception. It's an illusion. They want us to think that the World Economic Forum, the UN, our quote government, the two wings of the same bird, they all want you to think that there's a balance, that there's somebody actually out here advocating for both sides. They want you to think somebody's out here advocating or trying to protect us lowly human beings, because we are being pushed into, dare I say, I think almost, would extinction be, we're being pushed into, we're being pushed into our obsolescence. We're going to be less valuable once they draw up, or once they just to say, okay, so now AI is going to take over X, Y, Z, and D. You humans get over here and do what the hell they say do. Who's going to be that person? Are you going to have a Supreme Court of AI, an AI Supreme Court? I mean, help me out. Help me out. As soon as you surrender, we surrender everything over to somebody protecting us, and this institution over here is going to protect us. All they're going to do is replace these freaking institutions and all these illusions with AI. And they're basically letting you know you're fucked. Oops, did I say that? Realize that's what's happening. I think it's another name. It's another name for we're screwed. We're screwed by the government, and guess what? The government is going to write that AI constitution. The government is going to write that bill, that AI bill. And who do you think is going to be on? Who's it going to be in favor of? But they want you to think, oh yeah, there's balance in them. America has balance. America, leave the people to their illusions. This is ancient. This place is freaking ancient Rome to me. All the things that make us great are all it's getting to be criminal. The deception, the corruption, the greed, the sellout, the foreign entanglements to other countries. Is that what makes us great? Is that the illusion? That's the real, it's like an extended metaphor. It's an extended metaphor. You know how they throw around the word democracy? All these shades of language that they throw around? Believe me, it was all written for them. They wrote the law, they can write the shades of the law. And good luck if you're on the outside of the shades of these new laws that are about to come in favor of their AI. AI will be the new government, will be your NWO. And I didn't even say, I didn't touch that other subject about the 666. No, I haven't. I'm just saying you can see what's coming down the pike. It'll be the human beings versus their overlords. The AI overlords are about to take over. So I want to thank you guys so much for burning a whopping 1 hour and 3 minutes and 16 seconds with me. If you think I'm reaching, if you think I'm overextending, hey, bring in your evidence. Where are your articles? Where's your? I can't support everything with facts. I can support my opinion with facts. The facts may not be proven, but it's certainly out there. I've pulled enough, so I know enough. I would think I can consider, even though I don't really agree with the experts and so many professorships and all of these expertise, these big fish in the small pond. That is still what the standard of evidence is. That at this point, I did, that came out of nowhere. I talked about it yesterday, and here it is today. There was something right there on the WEF that talked about creations. So it's not just a question of hip hop artists, whether you own your masters anymore. It's the AI own your. It's not a matter of it's which source, which criminal owns it. Not a new criminal, just which one. They got another name for you. You got a pseudonym for your criminals. AI is the new pseudonym. The new pseudonym for theft and plunder. AI. New pseudonym of plunder and theft of your kids' imagination. AI. The new pseudonym for theft of your kids' innocence. That'll be AI. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what you think in the replay. So we did start out talking about layoffs. CVS, 5,000 jobs. Niantic, another one of these virtual companies making your kids video games. World of Heroes is the one I'd love to see what that's supposed to be all about. They put a choke on that one, so you're not going to get the World of Heroes. Can you believe it? The World of Heroes. That's interesting. They're heroes. Let's see. So yeah, this was a Business Insider. You can go check it out. It was sent out last Tuesday, less than a week ago, but we got to it here on Black Spring. We did. So CVS, 5,000 jobs to be cut. I mean, I think they're talking about it's going to come from the top. So they're all talking about how they can be nimble because they're all getting ready for they're getting ready for their AI. They said they're going to leave their frontline workers, of course, the people on the counters or whatnot. But it's the corporate level is what they're saying. This is going to be. They're going to get rid of some of their consulting people, flesh it out, whatever. What is it? Binantic. Some of these people had threats last year of cuts, but it's going to be more this year. But don't worry if you're corporate. You'll get a competitive severance package, career transition services, and more. Okay, see how that works. T-Mobile, 5,000 U.S. jobs. 5,000 T-Mobile services. I'm not even going to go into the products there. I won't do it. So let me read a few comments. I want to thank everybody so much for taking the time to come in. So yes, it's been fully loaded. So I'll keep an eye on it. I want to start doing more things on the economy because I do think things are about to some stuff is about to hit the fan again. But you still got an administration that's telling you there is no such thing. They're telling you go back to sleep. They're gaslighting you. Go back to sleep. What recession? What gas prices? We lowered. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre. We lowered. This administration has done so much. This president has done so much to lower the cost of prescription drugs. Yeah, they can't even eat. So you're gonna take your prescription drugs on an empty stomach, Karine Jean-Pierre. You can't afford the food. So what? You dropped it down a few cents, but they still can't afford food. There's so much crime in the country that people don't even have access. They don't have they can't even get to where they need to get to anymore because things are so the CVSs and the pharmacies have shut down after chaining up the freaking refrigerators and all the products are behind glass. They can't afford to stay open in places like San Francisco. So congratulations on your what is it? Inflation Reduction Act or the whatever they call it, this crazy nonsense. It's always they're one-upping themselves on platitudes. Oh, it was designed to do, the road to many places were designed in gold, but that's not quite how it went, did it? No. Seriously, it's a lot. So let me just read this comment last, and then we're out of here, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marcy T. This Void says the slaves sold themselves out long ago. You better know what to say, as my friend says. You better know what to say. Along with the Congress in the 90s and the Newt Gingriches and all those people had a role in it too. Like these illusions in these institutions are a part of the deception, the scam. Boyd says never met anyone that was a slave or a prostitute for the state. There you go. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I don't know if I have anything else. Maybe I'll come back later, but I just want to bring you those pieces on the layoffs. Did recalls last night. Oh, by the way, Whole Foods is also cutting jobs. Shout out to Marcy T. She was a guest on yesterday. We talked about Trader Joe's and their issues with metal and insects and whatever, and it showing up in the food. But Whole Foods is also getting ready to lay off some people. So we'll see. It looks like, there's something coming, folks. There's something coming. So you better be prepared and, just put on your armor and make sure you have the endurance that you can pray for the endurance for what's coming, because food is going to go up. There you go. See, Marcy T says, I have young family being effed by these units. Yeah, I got you. And Void says people put their kids in government schools and complain about the education. People, well, there you go. Shout out to Derek C. Williams says, with his advice, he said, I hope I'm getting this right or close to right, Derek C. Williams, if you're within the sound of my voice. Don't be a dumb person with a smartphone. That's such a dangerous line. It's such a fine line. Fine line. Thank you guys once again, and I will catch up with you guys later. Take care.